Hi guys, welcome back to Manifest with Armine. This is Armine and I'm a law of attraction consultant. Okay, this video is to answer the question. Let's see. I'm not going to mention the name of the YouTube user who asked it. I generally don't, just in case you prefer privacy, but it's a public comment. But anyway, the question is, Armine, could you please make a video on how to give yourself permission to manifest the things that you want? I can't stop looking for permission to manifest, and I wonder too much about stuff like, if I have the desire, it means God wants me to have it? Is this desire my fate? Who gives me my desires? Is it always me, my ego, or is it my subconscious mind, or is it God? I've been struggling with it. I make one step forward and 3 steps backwards. It feels as if at some point I start to feel that I can't surpass this programming in my mind of me being a victim and other thoughts like, if I manage to successfully manifest something or someone, then something bad will happen because of the law of polarity. I guess part of it comes from my upbringing in a very Catholic society. That's a great full question, and I'm going to break it down. I understand the question. I understand it for where this viewer is, and this asker is coming from, in some ways, because it's not that uncommon. There are parts of this question that are very common that most of us go through. So let's start with, okay, how to give yourself permission to manifest things that you want. The idea that we need permission to manifest something, like you mentioned here, comes from the paradigm or the belief that that we need permission, because we are raised, like you said, you were brought up in a very Catholic society, or family, so we think that we need permission. Even, forget the whole Catholic thing, that doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what religion we were brought up in this society, government, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. People actually believe that if we don't make people understand authority in other human beings, then the world will just be chaos. So that's why we have, punishments for crime and punishments for this and that, but ultimately, do those punishments prevent more of the same? That's what it comes down to. So we can delve deep into this, but we don't have to. The point is, you don't have to give yourself permission for anything, and you don't have to request permission from anyone, and you probably know that. So the reason you're asking that, I think, is because you still have that paradigm of needing permission. We can do a quick thing where you can give yourself the permission that you need because of where you're standing, or where we were standing when you were asking this question. Here's the permission that you can give yourself. This is how you give yourself permission. And it's exactly the next part of your question. If you have a desire, there's a reason you have that desire. Now, yes, desire is put in you from God, because your imagination is from source, right? When something is placed in your mind, when you have a desire for something, it is from source. But it is led and directed by your overall belief and self-concept of who you are and where you're going. So if you believe that you are the type of person who deserves punishment for wanting something good for yourself, that might seem greedy or selfish, then you will probably end up, your subconscious mind will work on a desire that you will end up punishing yourself for through your subconscious mind, because it has that paradigm of, I don't deserve this much attention to myself, this much, I don't deserve to have something or want something so much for myself, because that's selfish, if that makes sense. So if you're coming from a place of pure vibration in the sense of alignment with who you actually are. And how do you do that? Quiet your mind. It would be great if you could do this in a place that is not too much tied to your upbringing. I don't know if you live with your family or if you live on your own, but if you could just be in an environment, like when you go to sleep at night, when you lay in your bed, if you're alone, and if you can close your eyes and let the feeling of everything around you and where you are kind of dissipate, and just allow yourself to be with yourself. Because when you're with yourself, then you don't feel the automatic need to defend your desire, to give yourself permission for having that desire or working on manifesting that desire. And in that moment of quietness, if you bring your desire, or what you have been desiring before you, as the focus of your mind, if you still want it and if it feels good to you, then that desire is coming from a place of source, in the sense of it needs to manifest to reflect who you really are and for the expansion of yourself and the universe. So don't worry about if your desire is for good or not good. If it feels good to you when you are feeling good, then that is given to you in order to benefit so many people. And the desires we have, we think they're selfish, but they're not, because we don't see who's being blessed along the way as we are working towards our desire, as we are shifting our mental perspectives in order to attract our desire. Because when you align with the vibration of receiving something wonderful, you are benefiting so many people by vibrating that way. People will pick up on your vibration. You will notice that more people want to be in your company in a subtle way, probably, unless you specifically have been attracting more of a social type of life. But the people who are attracted to interact with you will be those who appreciate your energy, who have more confidence in you, because you will be vibrating and exuding more confidence in yourself. Not the type of confidence that is egotistical or just annoying, but the kind of confidence that just feels good. And I think most of us know what that's like. Sometimes we like to write off confidence as something that's arrogant, but there is a type of confidence that just feels like steady, easy, as in ease with ease, kindness. And when you are coming from that type of place, when you're standing in that place, then you will realize that you don't need permission. And what you actually needed permission wasn't, what you actually had to give yourself permission for wasn't to attract the desire that you want, but to feel like that person whose God energy is flowing through you. It's no mystery to anybody who's been watching these videos or other videos that are similar, that God lives through us, right? Like his works are flowing through us. Like if we don't work as in if we don't allow energy to flow through us, then that stifles what the universe or source or God wants to accomplish. And sometimes we're taught to believe that if something is very enjoyable to us, then that must be a selfish desire. But like I said, you don't know who you are blessing along the way, and you will not know who you are blessing the way. Sometimes you'll know some of the things, some of the people and situations that you're bringing about that are really good for others, and most of the things you won't even see it. So just use an affirmation. If all of that just flew right over, then don't worry about it. Just use an affirmation, either by Joseph Murphy or Neville Goddard, or Florence Scovel Shinn. Florence Scovel Shinn is great with this, with affirmations that confirm or affirm also that I am here to let source flow through me, and everything I do is blessed by God, because everything I do is for God. And if you're used to seeing God as a human being who's sitting up there in the heavens, then that might take a little bit of time to wrap your mind around it, but just remind yourself that God is everything. God is everything. There's nothing that is not God. So I went to Catholic school, at least for part of my upbringing, and I enjoyed it because I had a really good experience. I knew that there were some things in Catholicism that didn't really register with me, because I knew that ultimately our inner understanding and good will be more, I want to say, holy than an organization or doctrines or dogma, any kind of rule book that any organization can create for people or for the good of people is going to be at least a little bit different than your own inner guidance system. Why is that? Because what you're doing when you allow yourself to think that there's authority in another organization over your soul, over your spiritual self, you're just saying that I don't have a connection to God. Or you might be convinced either by yourself or by others that sure, you have a connection with God, but for certain things you need this community, or you need these rules. And that's going to be your journey. That's going to be something that you'll understand more as you feel your way through the process. If you're looking for a quick fix here, a couple things will help you quicker, but overall, your confidence growing to most of the time understanding that God is working through you, and you need to see yourself as that master deliberate creator, let's say, and the best possible things will come through you. Until you can kind of get there, then you will be always working on it, and you'll still be working on it later, but again, it's about changing that paradigm. So here's the second part of the question. It says, I've been struggling with it, make 1 step forward, 3 steps backwards. That's fine. This is why that's fine, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to end up taking 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. Eventually it's going to shift until the overall pattern is that you will feel more strong in where you stand, on who you really are and what your nature really is, and that you don't need to ask anybody for permission, and that in itself will give you permission little by little. So don't worry about the 1 step forward, 3 steps back, 3 steps backwards. We all go through that in certain areas of our life. Just stick to it, persevere, as Neville would say, and be consistent. There will be days where you're just done with it and you don't want to work on this anymore, and that's okay. It's okay. There might be a whole week. There might be weeks. It's okay. Just whenever you enjoy the thought of it, then work on your vibration. Okay, it feels like I can't surpass this program in my mind. Being a victim, and others' thoughts of, okay. We're not victims, and I think you know that. We're not victims of anything except for our own thought patterns. And that's not really being a victim, because that's our choice of what we are thinking. The thoughts that we are choosing, they often seem automatic, and a lot of them are, but if you use that, like they say, approximately 5% of your thoughts during the day are conscious thoughts. If you use that 5% to your advantage, and that 95% of thoughts that are coming from your subconscious mind, that are automatic, running like a program, they will be influenced immediately, and eventually your automatic choices in life will reflect your non-victim mentality. So you're not a victim, and you will feel that more and more as you are working on what I just spoke about. Let's see here. If I mention, the law of polarity doesn't bring you down when you are high. When you're up, it doesn't bring you down necessarily. For example, it's just your thermostat. Like it's your mental thermostat, your vibrational thermostat for whatever subject area. What you're doing here, like everything I was speaking of, it will raise your thermostat. So if you believe that you're only allowed to be happy to this point, and if your happiness goes up anymore, then it's gonna have to dip really down to balance it out by something bad happening or whatever, then that's what happens when your thermostat is set pretty low for how much joy you're allowing yourself. The more joy you allow to flow through you and not stifle it, the more good you are going to be able to do through you, through your actions. And it's not always a conscious thing, so don't worry about figuring out how you're going to do that. Joy is not something that you create in you. It's something that naturally flows through you. That's why it says become like a child, right, in the Bible. So you want to become like a child because that is our true nature. It is natural for us to laugh and to feel good and to really enjoy things thoroughly and to get lost in it. When you allow yourself to get lost in something that you love doing, that is not selfish. That is the least selfish thing you can possibly do, because what you're doing is you are allowing Source to direct you to what you are supposed to be doing in this life. If you see yourself as a non-productive member of society, then you will be drawn to doing things and you will enjoy things. You think it will feel like you find joy in things that are not productive. The truth is, once you affirm to yourself that you are a productive, wonderful, contributing member of society, then you will find your true joys, and those things are very productive and very, I want to use the word profound, and because that's that's how it will feel, but in a very light way. Okay, so don't worry about manifesting something too good that something bad's gonna happen. Only important thing, how you're feeling in every moment. It's not what happens, it's your reaction to it. If you're feeling great and you think, okay, my vibration is getting so much better, and then something kind of not great happens, your first impulse will probably be, okay, so I was wrong, and my vibration is not higher, and this isn't really working. And you could feel discouraged, but all your power is in your response to something. So if the truth is, if you are vibrating high and you're sticking to it and you're enjoying it and you're prioritizing the way you feel, then if you have a setback, even if it's 3 steps backward, you're not going to see it as a failure or the end, because there is no end. You can't get it wrong because you never get it done, like Abraham says. So hope that helps. There you go. Don't worry about your upbringing as a Catholic. There is nothing wrong with being exposed to religion. There are good things in religion, and I think you should really focus on that also. That's what I'm gonna end off on. I don't have an ultimate bad or negative or warning way of looking at organized religion. It's just anything you experience in life, you take the best from it and you take what's good from it. And there are good things, there are great things in communities, in religious communities, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, whether it's a religious organization, whether it's just the community you grew up in that's not tied to religion. In any given circumstance, situation, environment, you have the ability to lay down and say, hey, God, or source, or infinite intelligence, universe, just remind me all the good things that came from my experience with this community or with this environment. And you'll come up with a lot of good things, and you will be able to honor that background, and at the same time remind yourself and give yourself permission to say thank you for this experience, the great things that I've experienced with this. And I know that right now the best thing and most selfless thing I can do for my role in this life is to focus on what brings me joy, because whether or not I see it, that is the best way I can influence this physical environment. This was a really long video for just one question, and if I've lost most of you, that's okay, because this is really to answer to the one person who asked this question. Every moment is new, and every time you experience something familiar or unfamiliar, whether it's something that's a typical situation that would have bothered you before, or a new situation that's for some reason bothering you, you just go back to these truths and you apply them, and you allow yourself to step back from it emotionally and just think about, am I making these choices, or these choices of feelings and of thoughts, am I basing it on fear or on love? Because you can't choose both. There will always be, when there's a fork in the road, when there's any question you have, you're not sure what to do, always choose the one that is aligned with love, even if it makes no sense. Because if you choose the choice that comes from fear, you're not really doing any good for society or for your family, because you're just, running like a mouse, like a hamster on a wheel, because you're just going on that same programming, and you're not expanding nearly as much as if you just trust God, All right, if you guys like this video, please click like. If you would like to subscribe, most of my videos are not this long and in-depth, but if you'd like to subscribe for similar content, please do so. And thank you for this question, to ask her this question, because it is important to ask these questions, and it is important to open yourself to asking, because that means that you are open to receiving. The fact that you asked this question in my comment section for another video means that you are understanding enough to accept the answer and to apply it. If you really truly felt like a victim, and if that was your overall vibration, if you were feeling like a victim and you felt like you don't have permission to ask or receive things that are good and exciting to you, then you would not have written that question. You wouldn't have shared it with me, but you did. So you are actually not as far from wonderful things, unapologetically attracting wonderful things to you. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.